Hi, welcome to On Estes. I'm your host, Dick Orleans. We're doing a new show in Estes about arts and music, and maybe some other fun stuff too. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to have Mark Rashid as our special musical guest tonight. He's going to play songs from his upcoming CD, Song of the Prairie, and then we'll get to sit and talk with him, find out more about what makes him tick. And then we're also going to listen to some more songs. He's got about 4 songs he's going to do for us. And then we're going to visit with Marty Holmes, a local glass blower who's going to share his art and philosophy and things like that. We're going to have some fun. We're also going to do a little segment on music and technology, and then we'll also do another segment on upcoming events around Estes Park you might be interested in. So we're going to head over to the studio and hear some music. Hey, we're back, and it's On Estes, and today we have Mark Rashid, who is well known around the world for many things. A lot of people in Estes Park know Mark as one of the Elk Tones, a local band, but there's so much more to him, and I thought maybe this morning we could explore some of the other facets of your life. He's known as a world-renowned horse trainer, an author of 4 books. He also has a horse training video, and he's working on a new CD as well. So, Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
Oh, let's start with a couple of basics.
Okay.
How long have you been in the Estes Valley?
I think we've been here about 20 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so moved here from Wisconsin. So was doing primarily music there,
Mm-hmm.
as well as horses. But kind of had gotten away from horses for a little while and went into music full time and was a professional musician there. And then owned a music store there for a while, and a guy walked in off the street one day and offered to buy the store, and I thought, well,
Right time, right place.
right time, right place, and off we went. So
What originally brought you to Estes?
it was a 1980 Nova, I think, and what originally brought us here. Yeah. So no, it was I was wanting to get back into horses, and so I took a job working out at the YMCA of the Rockies as a wrangler out there. So it was a great job, $200 a month, and all the flies you could stand. So.
Well, we want to hear some of your music, because I know you're working on a new CD that's just about done. And but before we do that, I wanted to maybe ask you a little bit about some of the books. We have 4 books.
A plethora of books.
A plethora.
A plethora of books.
We have Considering the Horse. I believe this was the first one that
That was the first one, yeah. That came out in 1993.
And then we have Good Horses Never Bad Color. And then Horses Never Lie.
Yep.
And Life Lessons from a Ranch Horse.
Right. Yeah.
It sounds like these books are about horses.
Well, somewhat, yeah. And I did have to use some words more than once. So unfortunately, had to do that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've been working with horses since I was about 8 years old. I've been cleaning up after them since I was 8. I started working with them when I was around 10, and trained my first one start to finish when I was 12, and then fixed him for the next 3 years because of the poor training job I did. But anyway, yeah. I had been teaching horse training for a while, and we were using Mustangs for that. And then just so happened that a friend of mine who was working for me at the time asked me if I'd ever be interested in writing an article or two, and I said, well, I hadn't really given it any thought, and ended up writing an article for a magazine called Western Horseman magazine. And it turns out they really liked it, and they had me do a whole bunch of articles then, and that kind of led into the first book there in '93. And then from there, it just ended up about every 2 years we're doing another one, and I don't know how that happened, but it just did. So, interestingly enough, the first book, Considering the Horse, the way that I wanted to write that book was one of my favorite authors is James Herriot, and I wanted it to read like a James Herriot book. And most horse training books are very technical in nature.
Dry.
Yeah, real dry. And I can't even read those, so I wasn't going to be able to write one, you know. So when they asked me to do this book, I said, well, I'd like it to read like a storybook, you know. They said, oh, that's a great idea. And so they went on ahead and bought the book, which we did, and I started writing it. And then the marketing guy went in and started reading. He didn't know anything about horse books, and started looking at all the horse books that were on the market at the time. And they said, well, this one will never sell. So we don't want it now, after they'd bought it. And my editor said, well, you just keep writing and I'll stall them, and which he did. He stalled them until so they couldn't get another book title in for the printing schedule. And so this book came out by default. And they just didn't think it was going to sell, so they didn't really advertise it or anything. They sent it out for a couple of reviews, and it ended up doing pretty well. And so they, after it sold out the first printing in a couple of months, they came to me and said, you know, we'd like another book from you, but we'd kind of like it written the same way that other one was.
They changed their tune.
Yeah, changed their tune a little bit. Yeah, so
that's great.
yeah. But they're all kind of storybooks and different aspects of the horse world. And so
wonderful. Well, how about a song?
Sounds good.
All right. We're going to hear from Mark Rashid and his new CD, Song of the Prairie. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They're in an old sod house out amongst the buffalo herds. 100 miles from anything fancy comes a song of a yellow bird. It's the home of a struggling rancher and his wife of 7 years. He's gone most all the time, a yellow bird calms her fears. Birdcage made of willow branches hangs outside the open door. She listens to songs he sings as she goes about her daily chores. The silence of the endless prairie is the loudest thing you've ever heard. Took the life of many a ranch wife, yellow bird helped save hers. Then one day his hard work paid off. Army needed beef and his fit the bill. Paid in cash, they took the money, moved to a big house on the hill. Birdcage made of willow branches hangs outside the open door. She listens to songs he sings as she goes about her daily chores. Silence of the endless prairie is the loudest thing you've ever heard. Took the life of many a ranch wife, Yellowbird helped save hers.
We're listening to Mark Rashid from his new CD, Song of the Prairie. That was a song called Yellowbird. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that one.
The thing about this particular CD is that there's a theme that runs through all of the songs, and basically what it amounts to is it's a story of a ranch, fictitious ranch from the years 1858 to 1930 or so. And all of the songs are sung from different perspectives, and like one song is sung by a saddle, and one song is sung by the guy who cuts the trees down for the house, and so on. This particular song was the idea behind this one. It's in the mid 1800s when folks were living on the prairie. They were living in what was called sod houses, and the men did all of the work away from the house, and the women did all the work near the house. And out on the prairie, there was never a whole lot of sound other than the wind blowing, because there were no trees. Because there were no trees, there were no birds. So basically, what it amounts to is that the women were left in the house by themselves with the wind blowing all the time.
Ooh, kind of like an Estes.
Kind of like an Estes. Yeah, without all the fancy stuff.
Without the trees.
Yeah, without the trees. And but she, what would happen is in many cases, if they didn't have children, because the men were always gone, they would go. The men actually did the shopping, would take the wagon to town, but the women were always left at home, and very often the women would end up going crazy, losing their minds basically, because it's this constant howling of the wind and nothing else. And so a lot of the men would buy their wives canaries, and so the song of the canary would break up the wind blowing, sound of the wind blowing, and the little birds had become so important to these women that there are a lot of cases where even after they'd moved from one house, from the sod house into a bigger house or whatever, or even into town, there were women who had brought feathers from the canary, or in one case there's a story of a gal who had gone into a nursing home to get her grandmother's effects after her grandmother died, and her grandmother was one of these women who lived in a sod house, and she had moved from the sod house into a big ranch house, and then from the ranch house into a smaller house, and then after they retired into this smaller house, and finally into town, and then the husband dies, and then she ends up in the nursing home, and then she dies, and of course every time they move from one house to another, their belongings got smaller and smaller. And so this woman goes in and gets the effects, her grandmother's effects, and they're all in a shoebox now, and she opens it up, and there's some pictures in there, and the wedding license and some of those things, and then the carcass of a canary, the yellow bird. So that's the idea behind that particular song.
So it actually became their companion.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of a dog or a cat.
Yeah, like I say, it became really important to them, because it was, in a lot of cases, it actually saved their lives. So, literally. So, so that's just kind of a tribute to the women on the prairie and and the birds that saved them. So,
I was wondering where the location, the fictitious ranch, was actually located in your mind.
On the plains of Colorado, eastern Colorado. It could be anywhere, but that's because we're here in Colorado. That's I get to pick. So.
And since you made it up,
that's right.
You can do anything you want.
That's right.
And about what is the time span that the CD covers in this fictitious ranch?
Well, like I say, it starts in 1858 with with a cattle drive from Texas to Colorado, and in that particular song, it's the saddle singing the song on how the saddle gets to Colorado. And then it spans, another 50 years or so. Okay. Actually, a little bit longer. because it goes from about 1858 to about 1930. So, and actually, the last song on the CD is modern day, singing about the grandparents who have passed away that were on the ranch. So it's somebody said it when I was describing this to them. They said it's like a tapestry, because all of the songs
Sounds
are
like
connected in some kind of way.
They're woven together.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So.
Well, let's hear another one. This would be Still Stand Tall, and that's actually the house singing.
Right. This is the house singing about its life and how it came to be. And so.
Okay. Mark Rashid, Still Stand Tall.
1, 2, 3, 4. They built me on this hillside 50 years ago. It's been 2 generations safely passed through my doors. My walls made out of timber, took from where I stand today. Land out there below me is where my family worked and played. I was built by a man who knew the difference between a hammer and a saw. After all I've been through, I still stand tall. I've been a shelter from the wind and the rain, home for the joy and the pain that lives within my walls. I was here when the drought came, torched and shriveled up the land. Blizzard back in '88, I was where they made their stand. And I was built by a man who knew the difference between a hammer and a saw. After all I've been through, I still stand tall. I've been a shelter from the wind and the rain, home for the joy and the pain that lives within my walls. Well, there outside my windows is fresh and clean. My land's got more wildflowers than you had ever seen. They built me on this hillside 50 years ago. Lots more generations safely passed through my door.
It's Mark Rashid, Still Stand Tall, the song about the house. That's the house singing.
That's the house singing the song, yeah. There's a couple of songs on there that are sung by inanimate objects, so, yes.
Well, we'll hear a little bit more. I hope we can hear a couple more songs from you.
You bet.
And I would like to maybe talk to you about your horse training video. This is called Finding the Try.
Right.
Now, did you lose the try?
Well, the key to horse training is being able to find and actually see and feel when the horse is offering the behavior that you're looking for. And so the video is basically showing how we set up a variety of situations and then show folks how to feel or what to look for when the horse is actually trying. A lot of folks don't really understand how little it is. It's more of a, in a lot of cases, it's more of a thought than it is when the horse is trying to respond to you. If you're asking for them to stop, for instance, there's a lot of times where the horse may be trying to stop, just doesn't understand exactly what it is, and they will learn from the release. So let's say you pick up the reins to ask the horse to stop, and they try to respond in whatever way they believe to be correct. And if it happens to be what you're looking for, then you release. So they're learning from the release. But in order for you to be able to release properly, you have to know when they're trying properly. So, and one of the things that we talk about a lot in the clinics that we do is that it's not really what we're teaching, it's what they're learning. Because very often what we're trying to teach is completely opposite of what they're actually trying to perform. So that's where a lot of folks get into trouble with their horses.
So you're almost doing people training too.
Well, it's mostly people training. Yeah, it's mostly people training. So the nice thing about horses is they just don't have an ego, whereas we do. And in fact, the last clinic we just did, I had a gal who came in and all she could tell me was how bad her horse was. And one look at what they were doing, and it was pretty clear that where the problem was coming from, and it wasn't the horse. So basically the video is again a variety of things, stopping and turning, and but showing folks how small the try can be, so that they can get the release in there in time, and actually teach the horse exactly what it is that they're trying to teach them, as opposed to teaching them completely the opposite.
Right.
Which is what we run into a lot. So
like negative training.
Negative training, yeah. So.
Well, your philosophy is a little bit different than other horse trainers. It's I believe it's a much more gentle approach.
Well, it's based on understanding, you know, and these horses have been here a whole lot longer than we have, and they've gotten along just fine without us. Yeah, so
true.
I mean, horses have been on the planet for 50 million years in one form or another, and so to me, it's they have something to teach us, as opposed to us always trying to teach them. And all we have to do is listen from time to time, and we're going to learn something. And I tell people all the time, if you listen to your horse, you know, you're going to get an education. And if you don't, you get experience. And I have a lot of experience. So so basically what it amounts to is we're trying to have the horse have a little input in what's going on, so that we can learn what they're trying to show us. And really, the truth of the matter is, once the horse understands that they have control over your behavior, training becomes really easy. So, that's really the goal to all of it. So,
I suppose you could apply some of these rules or that particular style to any animal, I suppose.
Well, yeah, you know, really, I think what it comes down to is just treating the animal with some dignity and respect, and in the meantime, because the truth of the matter is, we can't teach these horses how to do anything that they don't already know how to do.
Right.
So all we're doing is teaching a cue to accomplish whatever it is that they already know. So, you know, in a lot of cases, I'm not really sure how we've gotten such a big head over it, but you know, they have a lot to teach us. So just paying attention sometimes makes a big difference. So.
Must be present to win.
Must be present to win, absolutely.
Well, I know that you've been traveling all over the world. Where has your work taken you?
Well, I've been to all over the United States, all but I think 3 states. Haven't been to Alaska, Hawaii, I guess 4, Florida or Georgia. Been to all the rest. We've been to Australia, England, Scotland, Belgium, Holland, and in fact the books are translated, at least 2 of the books are translated, I think, into 4 different languages.
Already?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so German and Swedish and Dutch, I think. I don't know all of them. So.
And of course you speak all those languages.
Fluently,
so you can read them.
Absolutely.
So you can read your own books.
I can read my own books, yeah.
Well, let's hear another song.
Sounds good.
This next song is called Cowboy Christmas.
Yeah, it's again, it's when you listen to a couple of these songs, you'll start to hear where, for instance, the yellow bird in Yellow Bird, it talks about the big house. They moved to the big house on the hill. Then the house was singing the song, so that's the house that they moved into. This song is about the cowboy who spends his Christmas out on the plains, but he talks about the big house, the party at the big house. And so these three songs so far, you can be able to hear the connection in the three of them. So
Great. All right, let's listen. Cowboy Christmas, Mark
Sounds
Rashid.
good.
Moonlight is dancing out over the hills. Saddle creaks in the cold. Jingling spurs keeping time with the hoofbeats his horse makes in the new falling snow. And it's a cowboy Christmas out on the plains, kind that few men will know. No presents or packages under the tree, just a chorus from the cattle as they sing soft and low. Up in the big house they're singing and dancing to the sounds of the fiddler's call. It's a social event, no town folk would miss it. Suits and bright dresses of the big Christmas ball. And it's a cowboy Christmas out on the plains, kind that few men will know. No presents or packages under the tree, just a chorus from the cattle as they sing soft and low. There's a star in the night sky shining above him, brighter than any he's seen. To himself and wonders as he climbs in his bedroom, drifts off and wonders what it might be. And it's a cowboy Christmas out on the plains, kind that few men will know. No presents or packages under the tree, just a chorus from the cattle as they sing soft and low. Just a chorus from the cattle as they sing soft and low. Just a chorus from the cattle as they sing soft and low.
That's Mark Rashid from his new CD, Song of the Prairie. We'll be back after these messages. That's Mark Rashid, Cowboy Christmas. Let me ask you, well, first let me tell you, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know you have a really busy schedule. You're not in town that much these days.
No, I've been home about less than a week, and I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yeah. So I
appreciate you having me on. It's great.
I'm glad you could take the time. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the CD. Who else on this CD? Besides you, of course.
Well, I am, because it's really pretty much all about me. Brad Fitch with the Elktones, he's written a song, and he is playing guitar on it and singing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Langford is, she wrote one of the songs that's on it, and is also, her and I did a duet on one of the songs, as well as some of the backup vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Doggett played bass and has some vocals on it as well. You're on it.
Mm-hmm.
You probably forgot.
Oh yeah.
But Jammin' Jimmy Spears is on it.
Oh yeah, he played some slide on this.
Slide, yeah.
Some great slide.
Did a really great job with the slide. And and then Karen Sumi came in and did some vocals. Really nice.
Yeah.
Did a really nice job on. Really made the song, I think, that she sang on. So
Yeah.
So, and I think that's about it.
Now, Kim Langford also works with you.
Right. Yeah. She's for those folks who don't know, she was an actress in Hollywood and still is, really, and was on a number of television shows in the 80s and 90s, and she is traveling with me, and she also does rehabilitative Pilates, which is she's certified in that, and she has developed some riding techniques through Pilates to help the equestrian. So it's been really great having her, and but she's a great singer-songwriter, and her and I also partner up on, we write movie scripts together, and
Oh, like horse training, writing books, playing music, making CDs is not enough.
No, we're doing some other things as well. So, but yeah, we've got a couple of scripts. One in particular that's being shopped around right now in Hollywood, and so we're guardedly optimistic.
Right.
Yeah, which means we won't quit our day jobs. But,
Yeah.
So.
Well, can anybody just pick up any of these wonderful books, videos, CDs?
Sure. Yeah, the books are here in town in Estes Park. They're at McDonald's bookstore. And the videos, you can get them also through our website, which is smartrashid.com, because it's all about me. The video you can also get through the website. We sell the Elk Tone CDs through the website as well. And once the new CD comes out, you'll be able to get those from the website too. So.
And there's other information on your website as well.
Lots of information on the website. Yeah, probably more than you'd ever want to know. And so our clinic schedule is on there. It'll be coming up for the next year. We're already booked starting to book into 2005 already. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we've been pretty busy.
You're going to be on the road for the next 4 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, play it by ear.
Play it by ear. Yeah.
Well, before we hear another song, I was wondering if you have any really good training stories.
Yeah, actually, I've got one that for me is kind of the epitome of. It's one of my favorite stories of things that have happened in a clinic situation. It happened up in Washington a few years ago, and the clinic host came up to me and she said, "Well, we've got one more horse coming. He's not here yet, but he's coming, and it's a stallion." And I said, "Well, okay." And he said he's going to be the last horse of the day, and he wasn't there yet. So I said, "Okay, sure." So I'm working with these horses in the arena, and all of a sudden I hear this noise coming down the road, and it's banging and crashing and this screaming. It's a horse screaming and just banging and crashing, and I'm going, oh, geez, I really hope that's not the horse I'm supposed to be working with. And sure enough, it was. And they pulled around into the thing and parked the trailer there next to the arena, and there's dust coming out the windows of this thing, and the trailer's rocking and shaking, and it's a big trailer. And it turns out that it was this horse that we were going to be working with, and this guy comes out, he pulls the horse out of the trailer, and it rears up, and it's hollering and screaming, and it's
not happy.
Not real happy, no. And he drug him over to the pen where he was going to be staying until it was his turn, and dumps him in there, and this thing's crashing into the walls and banging away and kicking, and I mean, not a very happy horse. So I'm thinking, well, great, this is the last horse of the day. This should all
save the best for last. Yeah.
So it comes his time to work, and he goes and gets the horse and gets the halter on him, and he has a chain over his nose. That's kind of the only way he can control this horse. And this horse is rearing up and hollering and screaming, and he's walking him past the mares, which is you don't really want to do with these stallions, especially when he's a little bit unruly like this one was. And so it takes him a little while, and he gets him around the arena, and he puts him in the round pen there where we were going to work with him, which is just a 60-foot pen. It's a round pen, and with 6-foot tall sides. And I was sitting up on the top rail of the fence, and he comes in. There was a lot of people in chairs sitting around the round.
don't this house seem empty today, like it has since she went away? And a year don't sound that long, but it's a lifetime for me. I miss her voice coming down the hall, and our dance at the Christmas ball, the way she hummed. She made the coffee in the morning. It was 50 years today when she came to share my name, and I never thought she'd be the first to go. Well, there's a box sitting over there, she kept the memories of the life we shared, and there's a picture of the day we wed, piece of straw from our first bed, first tooth from our little girl, and a feather from a yellow bird. It was 50 years today when she came to share my name, and I never thought she'd be the first to go. Well, don't this house empty today, like it has since she went away? And a year don't sound that long, but it's a lifetime for me. Yes, it's a lifetime for me. It's a lifetime. Yes, it's a lifetime.
We've been listening to Mark Rashid and songs from his new CD, Song of the Prairie, which will be out very shortly in stores around. And you can buy his CD and his books at markrashid.com. You can also get his horse training video there too, plus all kinds of other information.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, look it up on the internet. You can get the books in town at McDonald Bookshop.
McDonald's Bookshop, yeah.
Great. Well, I really do appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to come out and sing for us and chat with us. I think we got a deeper insight to what your life is like and all the different things you do.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right now we're visiting with Marty Holmes, who works in glass. And welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Dick. It's a pleasure being here. It's wonderful.
Well, we're hoping maybe you could tell us about your art and some of the things about it. First of all, you live in Estes, right?
I live right outside of Estes in a little town called Glen Haven, population 200. It's about 7 miles north.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I bet you have.
And how long have you been here?
About 21 years now.
Wow. That's quite a while.
It's been wonderful. What a place to get to live.
I know.
Very fortunate.
And like everyone, you probably came from somewhere else.
Yes, I did. It was Dallas, Texas, and moved up here, like I said, about 21 years ago. And once I got here, I couldn't leave this beautiful place.
I bet it inspires your art, too.
Absolutely. Where we get to live is on top of a mountain with a river running down below, and I just go out and try to absorb it and put it back out to the people.
Wonderful. Well, your art is extremely colorful. There's a lot of detail in it. I mean, it's multidimensional. And maybe you could tell us what you call this art form.
This is a classical offhand technique, glass blowing. It's been around for about 2,500 years, and the techniques are very similar to the 2,500 years ago, except for the computers that they've put on the annealing ovens. But the techniques are very old. We start with sand, melt the sand down into crystal, and then add different metals to the sand to create the different colors.
And that's how you get that array of colors and depth.
It is.
What drew you into working with glass?
Well, it was very philosophical for me. I love the way the glass moves and the way light shines through it. And to me, it represents humanities in certain ways. I could go into it very deeply, but I don't know if we'll go into it here that way.
We'll save it for when people come to visit you and ask the really in-depth questions. So how did you get started? Where did you learn how to do this?
Well, I started with a master glass blower here in Estes Park, Garth Mudge, and he's got a beautiful shop down here on Elkhorn Avenue.
And you worked with him for how long?
And I worked with him for about 4.5 years as an apprentice. And he taught me all the ropes, and we decided to go off and do our own thing, and we had a child and started our own business at our house and went on from there.
So do you have a studio at your house?
We do. We have a studio on top of a mountain, and my wife, she designs our website for us and does all our marketing, and I blow the glass and have 3 apprentices that work with me, and we're busy.
I guess you are. Well, maybe you could describe the process a little bit more for us. I know you talked about some of the materials and how you get some of the different colors, but...
Well, after we melt the sand into crystal, we have these big pots of the glass. And I take these 4-foot stainless steel pipes and dip into the glass and pull it out. It's a lot like honey on your knife, and you've got to keep it turning or it drips right off. And I'll take that and roll it into chips of colored glass. And once I get the coloring all on, I start blowing. The blowing process starts, and it's a little like blowing up a balloon. That initial blow is pretty difficult and takes a lot of blowing, especially for these larger pieces. Once you do blow it out, you do what's called a punty. You stick another pipe on the other end of the ball that you've blown and break it off the pipe. And then you can shape it, twist it, spin it, do all sorts of fun stuff with it at that time.
Until it cools down.
Until it cools down. It takes about 12 hours to cool down. You have to put it in a special oven called an annealing oven. And that cools the glass very slowly. It takes about 12 hours for a piece to cool down, so it doesn't break.
Well, can we look at some of these and maybe you could...
Absolutely.
Now, the name of your studio is...
White Oaks Visions in Glass.
And you have a website as well?
Yes, whiteoaks.com. Yes, so it's right there with it. This series here is called my Night Dance series. And what it is, I'm trying to capture what's going on out in space, out in our Hubble telescopes that are bringing back all our wonderful pictures and everything. This one is called Night Dance. This is Orion's Nebulous, Eagle's Nebulous. And I try to make them just as free-form and free-moving as possible to get a glimpse into how space is moving and how it's affecting us and the different colors and everything.
How about this red one? This red one right here.
Yes.
Where was the inspiration for that?
Well, that is the Eagle's Nebulous right there. And if you look in the Hubble telescope under Eagle's Nebulous, you can see the pictures of these beautiful stars that are actually at the end of their life, and they turn red like this. And it's just inspired me so much. I'm just in awe of it all. So I try to capture it in glass so people can take it home and put it on their walls.
And then you also, besides these kind of pieces, you also make functional pieces as well?
We do. We actually do a lot of sinks and lavatories and lamps and chandeliers, and we do a large array of different glass products and stuff. So
You've really taken this far, haven't you?
we have. We've been very fortunate. I have a great team with my apprentices and my wife and everything. This is not just a one-man operation here. It's a teamwork, and it really pays off. We've worked really hard for the 10, 11 years that we've been doing it, and the success is starting to come.
Well, it's well deserved. I hear you've been pretty successful in a relatively short amount of time getting into galleries around the world. Is that correct?
We are. We're in over 350 galleries, most of them here in the United States, but we are all over the world, from Japan to Saudi Arabia, just everywhere, Australia, New Zealand. So it's just been wonderful, wonderful adventure here.
Here's a little off-the-wall question. About how many pieces do you think you've made?
Oh, well, we're just adding it up, and it's somewhere in the 30,000 range. So we've done a lot of practicing.
Yeah.
You bet.
Where do you think you'll take this? Where would you like to take your art?
Well, the next dimension I want to start doing is more sculptures and stuff, and I want to show people our humanity and where we come from our history, all the way back to the Big Bang, and showing that we are all related. We are all related here. We need to work together, and I want that to be my little part on Earth here, is to help sew humanity together.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this all you do?
It's all I do for my work, but I also am an Aikidoist, which I find helps me with my art so much. As an Aikidoist, it's a study of how things flow and to fit in with the universal flow. It's a martial art, and but it's a wonderful thing. It strengthens the body, helps to communicate, and things like that.
Well, I think it does show.
Well, thank you, Dick.
And I appreciate you joining us and taking some time out from your show and showing us around. And can we browse a little bit more?
Oh, please do. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Love to show you.
We're talking with Marty Holmes, excellent glass blower. I think he's pretty close to a master.
Well, thank you, Dick. I really appreciate that.
Thanks a lot,
You guys
Marty.
have a great day.
You too. Welcome back to On Estes. I hope you enjoyed our little segment with Marty. That was fun visiting with him and seeing his artwork. Now we're going to go and look at some of the upcoming events in Estes Park as far as music and art. This week, coming up, we have Acoustic Kitchen Open Mic Night. Danny Schaefer will be the special guest on November 5th. That's at the Holiday Inn, J.R. Chapin's Lounge, at 8:30 p.m. The Nightlife Acoustic Music Series, which is happening also at J.R. Chapin's Lounge at the Holiday Inn. November 8th, starting at 8 o'clock, Sharon Doherty will be our special guest. She's also going to be one of our special guests on On Estes and the upcoming shows. Mary's Lake Lodge is providing some music on Thursday evenings, and this coming Thursday evening, November 6th, is Wendy Wu, and you don't want to miss her. She's real good. Also, we have some other events in town at Kavanaugh Pub. They're having Tina Phillips November 1st, jazz. She's playing on Saturday nights, and then Electric Side Dish is playing on some of the upcoming Friday nights. If you have any other information and you'd like to get that on the show, you can always contact us at dickorleans@ep16.com. You could probably also call in to 586-7522 and leave some messages with Hattie, and we'll get those and we'll put them on the show for the next show. We're going to try and do this every week and give you some of the latest fun stuff that you can do in Estes. Now we'll turn to the arts, and I have a bunch of stuff from the arts. I downloaded this from the Town of Estes Park website. November 1 through 23, we have Woven Wonders featuring the dyed and woven textiles of Deb Gullickson at the Art Center. So you can check that out all month. And then on the 2nd is the Estes Park Music Festival at the Stanley Hotel with Ken Gilchrist, bass and piano. Then 7th through 9th, the Fine Arts Guild of the Rockies will present The Secret Affairs of Mildred Wild. And that's going to be at the YMCA Hemphill Family Auditorium. Shows are at 7:30, November 7th and 8th, 2 o'clock p.m., November 9th. It's $12 for adults, $6 for children, 18 and under are free. And that's from the KSEP website. On November 9th, Estes Park Music Festival at the Stanley Hotel. The Cantable Singers, 2 p.m. In the music room, $5 admission fee. On the 14th and 15th, also The Secret Affairs of Mildred Wild will be showing again. And that's also at the YMCA Hemphill Family Auditorium. Shows 7:30 p.m., $12 adults, 6 children, 18 and under free. On the 16th of November, the Estes Park Music Festival at the Stanley Hotel, a big band sound. That's all that I got from them. But that'll be at 2 o'clock, and admission is $5. On the 22nd, the Native Arts crafts for kids in 3rd through 5th grade. Learn about Native people in the U.S. through craft projects such as Navajo sand paintings, Plains medicine bags. And that's going to be at the Estes Park Historical Museum. Free, but reservations are required. And you can get more information from them at 586-6256. November 22nd through 23rd, Dance Fest 2003. Celebration of dance featuring jazz, ballet, ballroom, tap, Middle Eastern and other cultures, and that's at the Estes Park Center, YMCA of the Rockies. Then there's a donation at the door that you can give them to support their fine work. On the 23rd of November, Estes Music Festival at the Stanley Hotel. Heidi Lenzer Camilli, she'll be playing piano, and that's at 2 p.m. in the music room. A $5 admission is asked. And then don't forget, and we'll end off with this one, on November 28th is the Catch the Glow Christmas Parade at 5:30. That's our annual big event here in Estes Park, and you'll want to at least watch that. There'll be Santa, carolers, and more, of course. And you can get more information at 1-800-44-ESTES. So that wraps it up for our show. I'd like to thank our special guest, Mark Rashid, for performing, and also for Marty Holmes for showing us his art. And we're going to be back next week with a new show where our special guest will be Chuck Varlick and the Kings of Swing. So join us then, and have a great weekend. Don't forget, while we're gone, keep an eye on Estes for us, okay? See you then.